I appreciate the fact that we're in the middle of lunch, or at the conclusion of lunch, and in the middle of a well-earned break, but I just wanted to say a few words to acknowledge a few people and thank a few people, and then introduce Phil Jones. My name is Robert Kenney. I've met some of you, but not all of you, and I'm a commissioner with the Missouri Public Service Commission, and I also serve as the chair of the Anybody Can Serve, So Let's Conserve campaign, which is a campaign of the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I first need to recognize and thank a few people that helped assemble all of us here today. First, I need to thank Laura Edward of the Joplin Habitat for Humanity organization. She served as the volunteer coordinator and essentially made this all possible today. So thank you, Laura, for all of your hard work. And I don't know if he's here or not, but I also want to recognize and acknowledge Scott Clayton, who's the executive director. Scott, I didn't get to meet you before. Thank you. I want to acknowledge Scott for his work and for welcoming us to the community and welcoming us to the job site. Thank you. And Scott's the executive director for the Habitat chapter here. I also need to thank Pastor Wilson and Pastor Michael and all of the volunteers here at South Joplin Christian Church for acting as such gracious hosts. And I think another round of applause for their efforts is in order. I also need to thank Josh Harden, who is on my staff at the PSC, who worked very closely with Laura and just about everybody else in the room for putting all this together. Josh did a yeoman's job in getting all of this together, reaching out to our colleagues at NARUC and coordinating with Empire District and with Missouri American, and in securing the impressive number of volunteers that we were able to assemble here in Joplin today. So please give Josh a well-deserved round of applause. And I also need to thank all of my fellow Missouri Public Service Commission colleagues who are here, Roberta Grissom and Andy Zellers, Jim Bush, Mark Hughes and his son for being here. I think that's all the PSC employees that we have here. Thank you all for coming down and participating. And thanks to all the other volunteers that are here as well. Give yourselves a round of applause. And particularly Missouri American Water and Empire District Electric. Your support for this initiative means a great deal, and I thank all of you for joining us. And then finally, I need to also thank NARUC, which is our national organization. And I will be introducing very shortly NARUC President Phil Jones, who will provide you a bit of background about the national organization. But I want him to know, as I've mentioned in our 4-hour drive down here this morning from St. Louis, how much I personally appreciate his presence here today. Like many of us, Phil arrived this morning after a long drive, but unlike all of us, he flew into St. Louis last night from Washington State, where he was a member of the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission. And I'm not sure if he knows exactly what time zone he's in, but Phil, I want to express my sincere gratitude for your support of this endeavor. It means a lot to have the leadership of NARUC present here, and I hope that it serves to indicate to all of you the importance of your work. But we're also videotaping this, and we will hope that it acts as an inspiration to all of our public utility commissioners nationwide to provide similar service in their communities. And so without the help of NARUC and its leadership, and with Phil in particular, we probably wouldn't be here today. So let me thank Phil as well. So let me just talk a little bit about why we're here and why we're here on this particular day. President Jones will tell us more about NARUC, but I want to talk about the Anybody Can Serve campaign and what NARUC members are doing across the country today. I was appointed the chair of this campaign about 2 years ago, and I made it my goal to focus on the idea of public service and giving back. Giving back to the community and improving the lives of our constituents and our fellow citizens. From my perspective, this is what our Anybody Can Serve campaign should be about: improving the lives of those around us, especially the consumers, ratepayers, who may not be able to afford the most energy-efficient homes or devices. So almost 5 years ago, the NARUC board first proposed this campaign to coincide with the Martin Luther King holiday. Many view the Martin Luther King holiday as a general day of service, and some view it as a day off. When our board of directors passed the resolution acknowledging the Anybody Can Serve campaign, we at NARUC decided that it should be considered a day of utility service. And what that meant has varied over the years, and we've started the campaign with other ways of recognizing it. And since then, we have worked with utilities, politicians, singers and songwriters, poets, homeowners and ratepayers and consumers to find ways to promote conservation efforts and spread the word about how easily we can all save money on our energy bills. Last year, we built upon those efforts and challenged association members across the country to volunteer with local Habitat for Humanity chapters. And states across the country set up work or volunteer days throughout the year helping to build new energy-efficient homes. And we're taking the same approach this year. We're asking each commission to make contact with their local Habitat chapter, commit to a certain number of volunteer hours, and go out and work on homes. Last year, the Missouri Commission worked on a several home sites in St. Louis, and this year we're here in Joplin. It's really my hope that through the Anybody Can Serve initiative we can learn more about each other, but most importantly learn about our jobs, and I'm talking about everyone here now, how we can positively impact the lives of our fellow citizens. So with that, for some more information about NARUC itself, I'm very honored to invite my president, Phil Jones of the great state of Washington, to come up and speak to you. Phil was elected NARUC president in November after serving the association in just about every other capacity you could imagine. And I already said this, but I can't thank him enough for coming all this way to be with us today. So without that, please welcome President Phil Jones.
So thank you, Robert, Commissioner Kenney, and I'll shout out as well. As Robert said, I am Philip Jones. I'm a commissioner from the Washington Commission. I flew in from Seattle, Washington last night to see you all in Joplin today. So I'm speaking both. I'm wearing one hat for my Washington Commission, as Robert is a member of the Missouri Commission. But more importantly, I'm speaking to you on behalf of NARUC, the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. And like Robert, I'd like to say thank you to Laura, Scott, Joshua, thanks for your help. Steve, thanks for that special tour you gave me at Joplin. I'd read many stories about Joplin and the devastation, but I never had a chance to see it firsthand, and I got to see that today. And of course, Missouri American Water, Empire Electric, all of you and your staffs, you're doing a great job today. Permit me to say a few words about NARUC, the organization helping to sponsor today's activities. NARUC is the Washington-based organization. We were founded in the late 1800s. We started regulating the railroad companies. Then we went to streetcars, and then we went to electric and gas utilities. But there are over 50 states plus territories, and we have, I think, about now 220 commissioners and about 8,000 staff that serve on the National Association. We cover essential utility services such as electricity, water, natural gas, telecommunications. We're not a partisan organization. We have Democrats, we have Republicans, and we have independents, and dedicated public servants like Robert Kenney and Joshua and all the staff of the PSC here today. We regulate utilities in, quote, the public interest. There are a lot of debates about what the public interest is, but that's what we try to do, is regulate in the public interest. The work we do is not well known. Our jobs impact anybody who pays a utility bill by ensuring that the rates charged by regulated utilities are fair, just, and reasonable. Now, what does this mean? This means we spend a lot of time on rate cases, rulemakings. It's very complex work that involves engineering, accounting, economics, and consumer protection. There's a lot of proposals out to build new power plants, transmission lines, or facilities to assure safe drinking water, as you have here in Joplin, Missouri. We help utilities implement programs designed to encourage energy conservation. Why? Because such measures help reduce costs and preserve our precious resources. Commissioner Kenney has talked to you today about the Anybody Can Serve campaign. What we do is not just economic rate making. We want to keep the lights on. We want to have affordable utility service. But as public servants, we believe that public service means more than that. So about 5 years, as Robert said, we adopted a resolution to encourage public service on Martin Luther King Day. For us, this means educating the public about energy conservation matters, changing inefficient appliances with efficient ones, installing for example, low-flow shower devices, CFLs, all sorts of things. We've launched these two national campaigns, as Robert talked about. So, Robert, thank you for your leadership nationally. You will be speaking to our national group in 2 weeks in Washington, D.C. when we all get together. And we really appreciate all of you. You are in the trenches, not only helping to build new homes, but also help rebuild communities and restore the infrastructure in the community spirit. This is especially poignant for a community like yours that suffered so much in terms of a national disaster, a natural disaster that was really something that you could not control. We try to control at the Public Service Commissions how infrastructure is provided reliably and affordably. But when something like Hurricane Sandy or the tornado, the EF5 comes through a community like this, we feel we all have to respond together. We also feel this is an opportunity to educate people, especially young people and the younger generation, about energy weatherization, energy conservation and weatherization. And especially for the essential public facilities in Joplin like St. John's Medical Center, the high school that I saw today, and other essential facilities that have to provide these services when you have a disaster like this. I have been moved and humbled by visiting Joplin and seeing firsthand the strength and resilience of your community. As Martin Luther King said, there is a tremendous value to public service and serving people in our community who don't have the means to restore homes, utility services by themselves. So to Commissioner Kenney, Habitat of Joplin, and all of you here today, thank you for joining us. You're doing a great public service, and as a resident of the state of Washington, I'm happy to be here in the Show Me State and participate in your activities today. So thank you very much.